I think most of you may have heard by now. If you didn't hear about it through informal chatter, maybe you heard about it through the Lamplighter. Picked up another job recently. Working now a little bit with IU Health, which down in Indianapolis, like at Riley or at Methodist, and in my part of the world at Arnett Clinic, all the way up to Monticello, they provide a lot of healthcare services, and so I've been doing some work with them, and it's going pretty well. I know a lot of you have been asking, how do you feel about it? Is it working out okay? And seriously, the biggest problem is figuring out what to wear in the morning. It really is. It really is. Does this look okay? They tell me this is, I must have lived too long. They tell me this is corporate casual. I had never heard of that before. When you're Judy Mills' son and you grow up, you dress up because mama will find you if you're not, and she will make your life miserable. So suit and tie was kind of the uniform of the day when I was growing up, especially going to work at church. And when you're at church, you wear either a Geneva gown or you wear the alb, and so you're dressed up that way. And so I really don't know much about this corporate casual thing. If I'm not wearing a suit and tie, usually I'm wearing flip-flops and shorts, and there's really no in between. And so I had to get my daughter up on the first day I was going to work. I'm like, honey, is this working? She goes, oh no, you look good. You look real professional. And I'm thinking, no, I don't. Look, I'm half dressed. I need a tie. I need, it's just not me. It's just not right. And she, oh no, you can branch out. You can wear golf shirts. And I'm like, golf shirts? Oh my, no. What's next? Plaid pants? No, I can't do that. I'm very uncomfortable. So it's making me very self-conscious. This notion that this is what professional looks like now. I know what's next. I don't quite understand. If you live a life of faith for a while, you understand how I kind of feel, that kind of half-made-up feel. Because if you try to live out your confession that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, for any time whatsoever, it gives you that kind of half-made-up feeling. There's part of you that is like, yes, this is right, this is me, this is the truth, and I understand it, and I have read the gospel, or I have heard the gospel, and I have shared in the gospel around the table, and I have enacted the gospel in my baptism, and this notion that God became like us so we could become like God, that is it. Yes, I get that. I understand that. I want that. That's me. But there's another part of us that feels like, I don't know, our shirt tail's hanging out or something, or we need to put something else on. We don't feel like it's put together enough. I believe that Jesus was with Abraham, or I believe Jesus was with the early church, but I'm not always sure where to believe God is in my life. So I feel half there and half not. It's kind of a once and future feeling. I believe God's waiting for me at the end of my life. I believe God was with me when my life began, but where God is now, I'm not sure. And I'm not sure how I'm supposed to wear this faith. It's a little unsettling. And you don't have to tell me how you've experienced that. My job is to tell you how other people have. If you read real closely in those two texts that Carolyn read for us a moment ago, you can hear that coming through loud and clear. Abraham is half made up. He is halfway there, and he's not sure how he's going to get to the other half. He has left Ur of the Chaldees. He has taken his wife, and he's taken all that he owns, and he has left his home in the east, and he has come all the way over to Canaan, because God has promised that he would make a mighty nation out of him. But he doesn't have any kids, and he's getting pretty long of tooth, and there's not enough Viagra in all of Mesopotamia to make this guy fruitful once again, and so he's not exactly sure what's going to happen, and he says to God, what'd you bring me all the way out here for, to die so my slave Eliezer can have all my housekeeping? Is that it? I'm as fertile as a cinder block. When are we going to finish what we started? And the text even goes on to say that he was afraid. The reading from Luke a different time, but it's the same feeling. The book of Luke and Acts By the way, if you're ever playing Trivial Pursuit, remember this. This will get you a piece of pie, okay? Most scholars believe today that Luke and Acts were at one time one book. And they got separated mostly because there was so much in the scroll that no one could really carry them around very well, so they were divided. And because Luke dealt more with Jesus' life and Acts dealt more with the life of the early church, they stuck John in between because Luke sounds more like a gospel than Acts does. But however they came to be ours, they are the story of that first generation of disciples. These are people who saw Jesus come back from the dead and who heard Jesus say, and I will come back to you and finish what we started. What I experienced in the tomb, you will experience in your life. We will all become a redeemed, a renewed, a recycled, a resurrected people. So wait for that. And they are waiting, and they are waiting. And like Abraham, they are beginning to worry as they wait because they feel half made up. We're doing what he told us. We're waiting. But when is he going to come and finish what he started? And added to that, in Acts and Luke, is the reality of the first wave of persecution that the church will ever experience. While they're waiting, they're being kicked out of synagogues. Their Jewish neighbors will not have anything to do with them anymore. It's getting dark out there, they're thinking. When is the light going to come? When is Christ going to return? When is he going to finish what he started? They're worried. Again, whoever wrote Luke and Acts says right at the beginning, little flock, do not be afraid. Do you ever feel like that? Do you ever feel like that? No, you don't feel like that. Does anybody else ever feel like that? Everybody? I believe, but I would like to see my beliefs confirmed. I'm going through chemotherapy right now, and I pray like there's no tomorrow. I'm wearing out the rug with my knees. But I want the doctor coming back and saying, you are in remission. You're going to be fine. I fill out my job applications, and I pray, please God, lead me to the right place. Or at least just let me make a living so I can fulfill my financial obligations to the people that I love. And we send those things off, and then we wait and we worry, just like Abraham. We have children. And what is it to be a parent but to wait and to worry? It's kind of interspersed every once in a while with a little bit of trauma and a little bit of high drama, but it is, it's like, oh God, are they going to turn out like me? Please, no, God, please let her be better than that, Oh, not like their mother either, not that, no. And then you play those games. You remind me of your grandfather, who we would never speak of, but you remind me of him. And you worry over every assignment. We're starting a new school year. You can see the parents right now, they're very conflicted. They're like, oh, please go back to school. And at the same time, they're like, please succeed, because I don't know what will happen, not just to you, but to me if you don't. And by the way, those of you who don't understand your parents, parenthood is something you never really get over. You can have a 50-year-old child and you're still waiting and worrying on them. You're still hoping they'll do the right thing, but you're not exactly sure if it will. Isn't waiting and worrying kind of what we're doing here at Wabash Christian right now? Last board meeting, we sat around and we talked a lot about what we've been doing for the last 20 years and how we need to break out of that cycle of behavior. I got the feeling, and I think some of you did too, that yeah, we really want to do this. We really want to follow God's calling. And this time, there's an openness to innovation and inspiration. There's also a lot of worry. What if we don't? What if we don't? What will happen if the past that we have known just continues indefinitely? Do we have to liquidate our assets? Do we need to sell the building? Do we need to, what do we do? What do we do? And we are afraid, just like Abraham and just like the early church. Let me tell you something that doesn't get said enough. Being a believer does not mean that you are made of Teflon. It doesn't mean that you will never worry again. It doesn't mean that you will never be anxious again. It doesn't mean that you will never be afraid again. It does not mean that you will have the perfect life. This is not Leave It to Beaver. This is following Jesus. Our problems are not resolved in 30 minutes with 3 commercials. This is complicated stuff. Because to believe in something other than yourself means you have to get yourself out of the way, and that is really hard. So if you're worried, if you're irksome, if you're taking your meds, if you're going to your counselor, if you wake up grinding your teeth, if you're getting gray hair, all that means is, like Abraham and like the early church, you are absolutely normal. It means you're a human being. That's all it means. I thought about that a lot this week while I was at my other job. Being the new kid on the block, I don't know anything. So and I'm the only man on the staff. It's really fun. It's really great. It's like a room packed full of my mothers, They all assume, can he put his pants on by himself? Can he tie his shoes? That kind of thing. But they're really nice about it. They're very nurturing. They're very, come here, little jackal, let us show you the ways of the world, that kind of thing. So it's been kind of fun to do this. And a lot of what I've done this week is what's called ride along. I just ride along with our visiting nurses and our home health aides, and we go see our patients. And one of the areas that we cover are the hospice patients. We deal with people who have been given a diagnosis that they have 6 months left to live. And we go and we see them. And for the home health aides and for the nurses, this is just business. They're just, okay, did you take your meds, right? Let me see your feet. Okay, we need to trim your nails. Let's wash your dishes and stuff like that. And because I'm not qualified to wash dishes, I guess, my job is to sit there and to engage the patients and the small talk. And they see my name tag right off the bat, and they know, because it says chaplain on it, I'm supposed to talk to them about God in some kind of ways. And so it's real interesting. The patients many times are working harder at making me comfortable than I am at making them comfortable. And they're like, yes, I'm not going to drop over dead while you're talking to me. It's okay, let me tell you about my family, that kind of thing. And they're really working to almost set me at ease more than I am at them. Now, that doesn't mean to say that they're always at ease. Some of our patients just found out we can't do a transplant on you. They just found out your oxygen saturation level is not going to get any better. They know, some of them, within the last 7 days, what eventually we all know. So it's just this kind of very human sharing time that I have with them. They tell me to be all right, and I tell them you're going to be all right. And if you listen closely to these texts, that's kind of the way the conversation between God and these forebears of us go. God says, look, I hear you, Abraham, I hear you. I know I promised that I would make a mighty nation out of you, and I understand that you're about as fertile as pea gravel. I understand that, but at the same time, I accept your anxiety. I make room for your negative emotion. I don't wag my finger at you. I don't condemn you for it. I accept you as you are, and I want you to do the same thing with me. I want you to accept me as a God who is hopelessly committed to staying in your life. In the Luke passage, it comes across a little differently. I don't know if they were worrying that it was getting late at night when they were writing down this passage or not. The Luke passage sounds like almost a shopping list. Prepare for the future, keep your lamps trimmed, put your treasure in heaven, not here on earth. It's just a whole collection of these aphorisms, these bits of advice. But in each and every one, the same thing we see in the Genesis passages going on. God is saying to them, I haven't forgotten you. Indeed, even though nothing in your life is working as you think it should be. That doesn't mean that I'm not working in your life. It doesn't mean that I'm not your life. You may be being driven out of synagogues. You may be being persecuted by Jews who see you as heretical usurpers. But to me, you are my beloved children. I accept your fears. I accept your negativity. Please accept my grace. Accept my commitment to you. You ever have chats like that with God? Really? Do you ever just say, God, this is the way it is, this is how I feel. I am hacked. I am scared. I want to fight or fly. I either want to run away from you, or I want to give you a knuckle sandwich, Almighty. Why don't you come down here and act like you're supposed to? Do you ever say that to God? My favorite pastor is Vernon Johns. He used to serve the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama. It's right across the street from the George Wallace's capital of Alabama. And this was back in segregation days. Eventually, Martin Luther King Jr. filled his pulpit. But long before MLK got there was Vernon Johns. And he had the pastor's gift of just kind of poking, needling people. So one day he walked into a whites-only diner right across from the Capitol. He ordered a ham sandwich and a vanilla milkshake. And the guy at the counter pointed at the sign that said whites only. And Vernon Johns says, I'm hungry, and there's something working on me, and it tells me that you're going to feed me. Well, they made the ham sandwich, and then they threw it at him, plate and all. And then they tried to pour the milkshake over him, and he started to come over the counter, and a bunch of good old boys went out in their pickup trucks and came back with shotguns, and he went out on his ear. The following Sunday, everybody, of course, in town heard about this story, right? So the following Sunday, he got up in the pulpit, and parents, please forgive me, this is a direct quotation. He said, brothers and sisters, I prayed the shortest prayer of my whole life. I said, God damn it. You ever pray like that? Do you? I don't know where we got this notion that we cannot say to God, I'm afraid, or I am tied up in doubts, or I am angry, or I am frustrated. I don't know where we got that. Because, good Lord, people in the Bible do it right, left, and center. Everybody's doing it in the Bible. Jesus himself on the night he was betrayed says, if it's all the same to you, I'd just as soon not die. That's about as cards on the table as you can get. God wants us to share all of ourselves with him. Even our boredom, even our frustration, even our vexation. There's a fancy word that a lot of people probably think, oh, here goes David again. He's tracking toward Rome. He's a closet Catholic. But it's a good word. It's called confession. This is who I really am with you, God. God wants that part of you. How is God supposed to receive the love of all your heart, soul, mind, and strength if you don't give him all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength? And isn't part of your heart, soul, mind, and strength sometimes not particularly snow white? Sometimes it's pretty dark. Sometimes it's pretty grisly. Sometimes it's pretty difficult. God wants you to give that to him. Because when you give that to him, he can fill that part of you with himself. He can impart to you his grace. When you say, God damn it, God says, I hear what you're saying, but I've got something better. How about I bless it? When you say, I am angry, I am as crazy as a bag of cut snakes, God says, I hear you. And I'm crazy too for you. And I will not forsake you. As he said to Abraham, I will be your shield. As he said to the early church, little flock, do not be afraid. I'll take your fear. Give me your negativity. Give me your frustration. Give me your pride. Give to me yourself. Don't play games with me. Be real. And I'll be real too. You can do that, you know. Indeed, you should do that. If for you faith is walking around with a false face, everything's fine, everything's great, then your faith is false. You're false. You know the Greek word for that, false face? Hypocrite. It's to put a mask over reality and pretend that that which is false is really real. I don't want that, God says. So Abraham, give to me your impotence, physical and spiritual. Early church, give to me your fears. Because I want to give to you myself. There's an Irish word, anamkara, means soul friend. Each and every one of us needs one of these people. We need an anamkara. We need a confessor. We need a person we can go to and we can be absolutely real with. Maybe you've already got that. For some of us, that's our spouse. For some of us, that's our golf partner. For some of us, that's family. The point isn't where you find them. The point is, do you find them and do you use them? And if all else fails, you can always call me. Your therapist, your pastor, your spouse, someone that you can go to and you can say, oh, it drives me crazy, but this is who I am. This is my shame, my fear, my anger, my frustration. Because you see, once you make confession, you receive absolution. That's when you receive the grace of God. You should do that. You can do that. When I go back to work on Monday, they tell me that it's to do more of the same. By the way, I'm pretty happy at the way this has been working so far with me. It's been really kind of remarkable, the people that we've visited. It seems like everyone I go and I talk to, there's something that we have in common. One guy I was talking to, he's got 3 months left. He's got terminal liver cancer. Very bitter, very unhappy man. And I just threw out, I said, where are you from? Originally, he goes, oh, someplace you've never heard of. I'm like, where's that? He goes, Akron, Ohio. Turns out he grew up in like a mile away from my mom. We were just talking about that. Another lady I went and talked to, she's all worked up because she's doing estate planning. She owns a farm in Missouri, and she's got 2 daughters that do not agree on how the estate should be planned. And she said, have your parents ever talked to you about this? And I just threw out my mom's standard phrase. Oh yeah, my mom knows exactly what to say. She says, I know you'll do the right thing. And she said, I'm going to use that with my girls. I know you'll do the right thing. Basically, let them duke it out, let them have what it is. With each and every one, in ways that I do not anticipate, the grace flows. And this is not me at work. This is just something more, something larger. And I don't think this is just confined to what I'm doing. I think this is just part of life. Isn't it the case a lot of times that when we relax, when we get over ourselves, the blessing that we receive is the fact it never really was about us in the first place. Our kids grow up and they succeed in spite of us, right? The wolf doesn't come crashing through the door. We eventually find a way to make things work out. We don't know exactly how we will break out of this cycle here at the church and develop a really healthy partnership between lay leadership and ordained leadership. But just because we don't know doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Many times what is happening when God calls us to wait, and when we push away our worry, is we realize that our salvation was already in hand. This is what was going on in Abram's life. God says, come outside. Look up at the night sky. How many stars can you see? He says, I don't know. God says, that's how many descendants you will have. Abraham never knew exactly how that was going to occur, but he knew it would occur. So it is with the early church. They are told, be prepared, for the bridegroom is coming, and when Christ returns, you, your true self, will be where you belong at long last. It's very poetic, it's very lovely, but it's also very vague language. There's nothing in that about, well, this is what's going to happen to the Jews, and this is what's going to happen to the Romans, and this will happen, and then that will happen. Because it really doesn't matter how it happens so much as it does happen. When we relax, we realize it never was us that made it happen in the first place. What is it that makes you walk the floors at night? Your parents' health? Your job prospects? Your kids? Your health? Politics? The news? What is it? Fear not, little flock, God says. Look at the night sky. If all that is my doing, God says, and you are my child, what's the worst that can happen? I love you more than I love myself, God says. Focus more on how I love you and less on how you'll respond, and you'll be fine. That, it seems to me, is the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. And this 8th of August is the end of my lesson. What say we pray?